Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. We're going to paint up this demon from the November box of DungeonSwag minis. And I'm going to do this one in blue because I don't think I've done a blue one. So, let me look at my blue colors here. I'm going to start with this award blue. It's pretty bright. Let's get some cardboard. I'm starting with a small brush. And I have some soapy water here, and I'm just going to get a little bit of wet and a little bit of paint. And I'm going to send this out a little bit because this craft paint's a little chunky. So we've done pink and green. Now we're going to do blue. Get a little more of that soapy water. A long day today. Part of me just wants to call it a night and go to bed, but I just want to paint a mini or two. I made that whatever the Tojito or whatever it was, Tahito earlier, that turtle thing. I didn't really like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I'd make stuff and I'm just like, ah, hell. And that was one of those. Just like, oh, hell. In my head, it was going to look better than it did. That happens sometimes. That's okay. Can't knock it out of the park every time. Or when you do, it wouldn't matter as much. If you succeeded on the first time you did everything, you just wouldn't even enjoy the options. Or not options, the opportunities where you nail it. I got a song stuck in my head. I'm trying not to sing it to you. I don't think I have any flesh on the legs on this fella. No. Just on the torso there. So let's dry that off with a hot air gun. And step it down a notch. Clean out my brush. Real quick. Hot air gun it. When it's chilly in the garage, the hot air gun is like a blessing. Take a look at this dude. Man, he looks sick. Some of the demons look kind of like bat people to me. I love them. So I'm going to use this tropical blue as my next color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a soft brush to use as kind of like a dry brush. Oops. Continue on my attempts to make neon demons. I'm just not real happy with the coverage I'm getting with this paint here. Let me see if I have something a little better than that. It's a little light. All right, let me try a different paint. Switch gears for a second here. You know what, before I switch to Army Painter paints, let me try this Caribbean and see if I can get what I want. Because I know not everybody has the ability to get the resources, money, or time, or whatever your reason is. I know not everybody can get miniature paints. So I'm trying to show you that you don't have to have them. They are a game changer. There's many great things about them, but you don't need them. For many years, I only had miniature paint, or craft paints. When Mrs. Doom and I had the older boys, and I worked for the city, and I was still going to school, and I made a lot of bad decisions with my time and money. And I had a couple failed businesses under my belt at that point. I was not using the best paints. That lightened them up significantly. Let's do that one more time with that color. That actually made a difference. That's more noticeable for sure. I like it. Okay. Now I'm going to jump straight to this China Blue mixed with this. But I'm going to be conservative about it. Because that China Blue really chunks a color down to light quick. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I think I do like that. Oops, a little bit too much there. Nice. I like it. All right, I'm going to put the blues away. I hope we don't need any more blue, because if we do, that means I made a mistake. So I clean that brush out. Let's go back to the other brush. So for this armor here, hold on, I'm getting water everywhere. All right, so for this armor here on the back, I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. So I'm going to do that in like a light brown to a tan to a white, because I think that's supposed to be some kind of like carapace. So I'm actually going to start with this chocolate bark, which is kind of like a medium reddish, even though that's not what I just said I was going to do. I like that glaive on his back, or whatever you call that. For any of you experts that know what that is. say something in the comments about what that blade is. I think there's some kind of delivery mix-up going on. I'm going to go ahead and paint even the belt and stuff this color and then come back and clean that up. Because I think if I'm going to do some dry brushing on this, or some layering even, it would be easier to deal with it as one solid color than trying to hit little spots. Okay, I think I got it covered pretty good. There's a little spot down here, it's not great. There we go. A little better coverage under there. All right, I'm going to clean out my brush. I'm going to put that right away and get a melted chocolate medium brown. And I'm going to do the legs in this. So there's some inconsistency and some difference in the shadings and colors on them. And I'm going to color the whole pant leg, but not the boot with this. I'm not sure what's going on there with that. I can't see real well. But I did miss a little bit of brown on the belt. And since that's a little damp, I'm just going to drag that around and hope it looks okay when I come back and fix it later, work on it later. And I'm going to do this top part up here in this brown too. Because I'm not really sure what this top part's supposed to be. But I think I'm going to make it look bronzed when I'm done. Then he has that little weird, like, neck guard thing on the back. Something like that. Now, I'm going to do his arm guards and his boots in the same color too. And I'm going to do those in a gray, I'm thinking. But I'm just going to quickly hit the handle of the sword. There. Now I'm going to get pavement. Because it's my, no, I'm not going to get pavement. I'm going to get dark blue gray and do his bracers and his boots. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to try not to hit those skulls on his boots. Actually, I might make those skulls metal. Man, I cannot breathe. I'm really excited. This guy's going to turn out sick, I think. I hope so. When you have nice minis like this and then you paint them dog shit, it always feels kind of like, eh. But when they turn out looking decent, or at least better than normal tabletop quality, it's always like a little victory. You're like, yeah, sweet, I nailed it. Especially if you could do it in like under an hour. That's when you really are like, man, I got that. I did that quick too. I get all stoked up. I'm like, yeah, butter. Being real reckless with this gray. That's for damn sure. Super reckless. Squarebick's got a business conference this week. And I like to talk to him every couple of days. He's the guy that, if you don't know who he is, he's the other half of DungeonSwag. We're the dudes that run it out of our basements. And he's a longtime friend of mine. We met on a video game, and we've just been #1 home dudes pretty much forever. We've even like hung out in real life. He's come down to West Virginia, and I've gone up there to Philly. It's a pretty big drive, actually. It kind of sucks butts. When I used to be a little bit popular in the video game circles, we used to have a Doomapalooza where around my birthday, anybody that wanted to could come visit, people from Twitch or whatever. People in our gaming group. We had a pretty big gaming community online, which I guess it still technically exists, but there's not really anybody in it except for me and my wife and my sister-in-laws and a Scorbic and a couple of our loyalist best friends. When I got out of gaming for a while, it had become too much a part of my life, playing video games. So it got super addictive, and I kind of dropped other hobbies. Like, I stopped playing D&D to play video games. And that's when I knew I had a problem. I was like, all right, something's wrong with me. I've traded alcohol for something else. If you're going to trade alcohol for another addiction, at least make it something that produces or creates something. Addictions that just steal time and don't provide anything are not ideal. All right, so I'm going to do the handle or the wrist, this top part of the sword. I don't know what this part's called off the top of my head. I would call it a handguard, but it's really not a handguard. It's like a decorative, wouldn't guard your hand very well guard. I'm going to touch that up. All right. Cleaning out that brush. I'm going to hot air gun him. Now, that back part that we were talking about, I'm going to come back with Territorial Beige. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to use, I have a color called Chestnut. I'm going to come back with this Chestnut. And a small plastic bristle brush that I can do some real fine dry brushing with. And this is a tiny brush. And I'm going to come down. I'm going to start lightening this up drastically. I might have to hit this with a couple coats to get it where I want it. And I usually, when I dry brush, I try to pick one direction to go, because this is such a small area and I don't want to screw up my other parts that I've painted. I'm going to just take my time and kind of move it in some different directions and start lightening that up. And you can already see a little bit of that contrast where it pops from that, but it's not drastic. It's not like life-changing. Okay, I'm just taking my time. And like I said, I'm moving around in a couple directions because I'm in a small area. Then I'm going to do the same thing on his chest, and I'm going to take my time so I don't mess up any of the work we've done up to this point. Okay. And once you get that lightened up pretty good, you can kind of drag that around and catch some detail on some of the other dark stuff, but you don't want to spend a lot of effort on that. You just want to see where the belts are and whatnot. Okay. Now I'm going to lighten that up again. This time I'm going to use a territorial beige. Now on the territorial beige, I also want to catch the pants detail with that and lighten that up. And then I want to catch this carapace looking stuff pretty good. And again, stay in the lines here, kids. Don't get nuts. I'm also going to hit some of this schmuck or whatever this, skirt looking thing and belts and stuff like that, just to give it some variation. All right, let's really lighten up that carapace with this. Make sure you're hitting all your belts and everything too. Lighten that up. This little weird thing at the top, whatever this thing is, it looks leather when I do it like that. I might leave it leather. So we're starting to create, a baseline of different layers with that different color. Now I'm going to get khaki. And I'm only doing the carapace part, I think. But we'll see when we come around what I'm going to do, because I might get on here and start playing with this and realize we can do more with that. Okay. I'm not sure if that is carapace or what that's supposed to be. I thought it was carapace when I first looked at it. Now I have no idea what it is. And I am going to twink around on those belts and stuff with this just a tad, just to give some color change and show some changes and some breakup and some variation. I'll get a little more of that khaki. I'm going to hit that carapace stuff a little bit better. Lighten that up a little bit more. All right, let's take a break from the khaki and grab something a little bit crazy. I'm going to get my ivory, which is like a off, if I can find it. There it is. It's like a yellowy white. And we got to be super careful with this. This is how you break something going from this drastic of a change. This can be bad. This is a bold move, maybe. We're going to be real careful with this. Real careful. Super delicate. We do not want to overkill on this at all. We could do one more if we're real careful. But again, such a drastic lightning that fast in such a tiny area can be a little risky. All right, we're going to take a lot of that out of the brush, and we're going to hit the belts, the leggings, and all the hanging down stuff that's still brown. Okay, then we're going to hit this collar thing. Okay, there we go. He's starting to look crisp. I want to darken up that one belt on his waist there so it sticks out. And to do that, we can knock out a couple things at the same time while we're on that. So let's wait, because I want to do his metal first then, if that's the case. So same thing, I'm getting a soft plastic brush. I'm getting some dark metal. Oh, that's not the paint I want. Over here. Craft paint. Okay. Now you don't want to go overkill with this. You just want to kind of... We're not painting it. We're just trying to make it reflective a little bit in spots to show that it's metal. And we're putting a little bit more effort onto that skull. Okay. Something like that. We're going to do the same thing on these wrist guards, but we don't want to go overkill. So just take your time, be careful, and distribute that metallic sheen. We're not painting it. We want to retain the blue-gray color that we painted it for the most part. Take your time. We don't want to go too much into that. I don't know if I had quite enough paint on that, so I'm just going to get a little bit more. There we go. Something like that. We can hit that glaive a little bit with that. Just be real careful. Let me get the backs of his boots a little better. All right, so for the handle of the sword, I'm not doing the brown, I'm just doing that part on the front and back. All right. You can throw that brush down. I'm going to get this burnt umber. It's my darkest brown that I have that's craft paint. And I'm going to get my size 1 brush, my starter brush. It has a pretty decent tip. It's not perfect, but it's good. And my brush is damp because I put it in my mouth. I'm going to drag that imperfectly on the belt. And you don't have to paint every single part of that belt. So a little bit of dry brushings that you have that gives it an edge and stuff can stay. And then doing this gives the impression that that inside part was dark all along. And then I'm going to come up here and underneath that little collar, I'm just going to drag some of that down to darken that back up. There's a little gem or something on the front there. I'm going to want to paint that with something too. Now while we have that out, let me wash out my brush. Since we have this dark color out already, we might as well get our base going. Now, my regiment brush would probably be better for this because the tip of it has a little bit of a point, and it's, even though it can hold a lot of paint and it's a decent sized brush head, the control on it is amazing. This brush does not have great control. And when I say control, what I mean is this. When I touch down, see how much purchase that has, how much give that has? that's probably not ideal for this, what we're trying to accomplish. You want something that's got a little, you can get it under stuff and keep it shape a little bit. This kind of collapses and smushes all around. It's got way too much give. Okay. Now while that's still wet, never mind. We're not gonna do it while it's still wet. But I did grab some nutmeg brown out. I'm washing my brush. I'm gonna set it off to the side here. We're gonna fire gun this guy. I gotta warm my fingers too. Got the pavement here. I'm gonna hit that rock. I'm just gonna use this little brush so I don't make a mess. Clean that brush out, and we have two things to do before the sword. The sword's going to be a lot of work, and I honestly would rather just do it with speed paints. However, we can't. So I'm going to get some red here, right? But I'm going to get the... Nope, can't use that red. Damn you. I'm getting this flamenco red. This is crap paint. Making my brush damp. Fairly damp. Then I'm going to hit his mouth real carefully. I'm going to hot air gun him. I'm going to get this antique parchment, which is like an off-white. It tends to have okay coverage. And I'm going to get a fractional brush. One eye. I got to come at this one at kind of an angle from the back side. Two eyes. So just the tiniest little eyes. I'm not going to do pupils or anything on those either. You could, but I'm not going to. Now we're going to take that same little teeny brush and we're going to drag it lightly across his face where his mouth is. Ever so carefully. Pick out those little teeth. See that? Now, if you have something like this, this is called sterling silver. This has dog shit coating. So when you use it, you have to use a little bit of white paint in with it. But I recommend using an off-white if you have it. So I'm going to use this antique white with mine. Okay. Don't want this brush. Just clean that out of my mouth. It's okay. So when you're using this to do any kind of metallic trim or shininess, start with your white and then keep adding the gray. It's silver actually, until you're worried that it's too thin or it won't coat well. Okay, see, I went too much, so I'm going to get a little bit of white and bring it back up. All right, now I'm going to get rid of most of that, and I'm going to come around here and I'm going to touch. I'm not painting the entire edges of these, right? I'm just touching in certain spots to give it a little bit of an outline, because I'm lazy. And if I tried to hit all that, I'd make a mistake and have to go back and fix it. So I'm just doing a little bit of outline work here and there. Some of that. I'm just dragging it and touching it and just catching edges. I'm not actually painting anything like that. I'm lazy painting this. And if I need a little more, I can just grab a little more. Okay. And then I'm going to get that little button thing right there, because I think it needs it. All right, I'm pretty happy. Now we have one horrible step left. Get a yellowish color, or you can mix white and yellow. I'm going to use that ivory. And I'm going to paint this sword. And what I want to do is, my brush is fairly dry. I want to paint the entire blade part of this white, yellowish white. If a little bit of that darkness is coming through, that's going to be okay. But you want it to be much lighter than that gray on white, gray on black. Okay, starting there. We have to dry it in between every step. Now we're going to get our brush. It's going to be damp, but not soaked. So I'm leaving some wet on my cardboard right there. We're going to do this yellow. And we're going to come in here. We're going to make sure it's not too thick and chunky. We're going to make this a very fine light yellow like this. And it's okay, some of that dark sticking through, okay? That can be a payoff in the right situation. And we want to make sure we're going front to back and back to front, and that we are not going up and down. Okay. So we have a fine yellow color there. Okay. Now leave your yellow out. We're not done with it. Air gun it. Now get whatever yellow you have left, and you want to focus on this front part here. I need a little more. I thought I would have enough left, sorry. And our brush should be fairly dry at this point. We want to really come in here, focus heavy on that front part. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to the back part here and make sure that's good and yellow. Because I have some ideas of how I want this to look. All right. Let's dry it off. All right, washing out that brush, and we'll leave that sit for a second. And let's come back and do that nutmeg brown on the base to clean up some of that, and we'll do some gray on the base too, on the rock. So first, I'm going to get one of these brushes that we were using earlier. It's just cheap plastic. And I'm just going to drag this around and catch some of the texture on some of that rock. Oh, too much paint. Oh. And we give a little variation. I'm not cleaning my brush out, but I am getting a lighter gray. It's called Elephant. Is the color I managed to grab. And if you think it's a little too dark, you still have enough white here from earlier that you can make your rock look a little more realistic. All right. Wash that brush. Get something kind of fanned like this. That's real soft. Let's set some brushes off to the side. We got a lot of brushes over here. I just throw shit around willy-nilly. Okay, we're going to get a really light orange color. The light orange I have is called apricot or apricot, depending on how you pronounce that. I like to call it apricot. No, I don't. I don't know why I said that. I'm just being dumb. All right. So when you hit this, you're going to catch it up. And you don't want to catch it everywhere. You're creating your first bit of variation on this blade. So you want to be a little conservative here. And you want to go up at angles. Okay. Then you want to get a medium orange. This is pumpkin orange. Or as some people call it, pumpkin orange. I don't call it pumpkin orange. Okay. Then we're going to come up. We're going to catch what we can. And then we're going to dry it and do it again. Okay. Like I said, try it and do it again. And this time, a little bit less paint. Now you're going to start creating more of a 3D kind of. Right. Dark orange, I am going to use ripe tomato. You use what you have. I say I'm going to use ripe tomato, but I'm actually going to use jack-o'-lantern because I don't know where my ripe tomato is. Oh wait, I found my ripe tomato. All right, I'm going to use jack-o'-lantern anyways. This is a medium to dark orange. It's not super dark. But I'm going to do one coat of this as a breakup. Try it. Starting to look good. Now we're going to use red. I'm jumping straight to a dark red. This is flamenco. I have a brick red that would look nice on this too, but I'm jumping straight to a dark red. I'm leaving whatever I have of that orange in my brush, and I'm just getting some red. Like this. And then ignoring that middle part that we left the lightest, I'm touching the front of the blade a good bit. Okay. And I'm touching this back portion here. Okay. Now, you would think this sword's reflecting on him, but it's magic, so it doesn't matter if it does or not. Shut up. Last but not least, my favorite color in the whole world. Pavement. Now, the little teeniest bit of pigment that you need on your brush is unreal at this point. Okay, so you touch the end of it and just kind of darken it up a little bit, like smoky, just barely. And then down here, a little bit of smoky, a little bit on there, a little bit along the front there, just a little smoky. That's my sword blade, how I do it. Is it beautiful? Is it perfect? No. You want to see a good looking flaming sword blade, go on our Discord and look at that same sword was painted by Sweeney Todd. You want to see how that's supposed to look? Go look at his. Or go look at one of my fire videos where I use speed paint because I'm so bad at fire compared to some people. So we have to do the black around here. And then some flock. So we're just going to carefully drag a really nice thin layer right around the edge of where the texture ends on the base. Nice. You want to make sure you thin that. Don't have streaks or anything. If you have to add a little water, go ahead and add a little water. Now I'm going to come back because I was a little thin over here and I think the brown's showing through some. And I'm going to come around to the outside too. Around the outside. Around the outside. Around the outside. gonna touch. I still have some paint in my brush. I'm just kind of dragging it smoothly around until it catches and there's no smoothness left. There's no moisture left. Sweet. One more thing I want to do, I guess. I said I was done, but there's one more thing I want to do. I'm going to get, and this is Army Painter product. Yes, I know. I'm going to get some dark tone. And I'm going to do a little bit of work on those gauntlets and a little bit of work on those boots. And this is completely just something I want to do that you don't, I don't want to use that brush. Let me get with my regiment brush. I can't find that other regiment brush. I only have my beater regiment brush anymore. So I'm going to come in here on the skull. I'm going to come in here on the sides. I'm just going to smear some of this around in a really thin coat. And this is just going to take away a little bit of the, how I kind of went a little over metallic on here. Okay, that's all I'm doing is cleaning that up and making it look a little dingier and a little more used. Strong tone would work really good on this, and that's probably what I should have grabbed. But I grabbed dark tone, so that's what I'm going to use. Because you can't switch back and forth too much on tones unless you know how it's going to look once you've thinned it out or how you're using it. So just keep that in mind if you're playing with these different tones. They dry very slow too. They're oil based. If you were going to buy only one Army Painter product, and only one, I would probably buy Flesh Tone. I really like it. It's really fun to use, especially on big models. Now there's that little thing back there that could be a gem. Oops. So let's get one more thing real quick. Sorry guys, I keep up my shit all the time, I know. So this is called Cardinal Red, and I use this a good bit. And I like it because it's like a full, vibrant red. I'm just going to paint that little dot on there real quick, real easy. And then I'm going to get some blue metallic and do that dot on his sword, on the handguard of his sword. And then we're going to call this done. Well, I got to flock him. But we're under an hour. And I'll tell you what, for this guy, I think that was a fair amount of time to paint him. Where's that dot at? There it is. One there. One there. And he's got that little dot right there. Let's do that thing. That little gem bead thing. Okay. Let's get our cardboard down here. Put our brushes over here. Clear glue. No condom. Of course, I checked, especially for Mr. Sweens. Now, there's a lot of brown and dull on this guy. So we're going to use that opportunity to make the base a little brighter than normal. We're going to do more green on the base than I always do. So we're going to try to cover large areas with thick glue and then spread that thin. And remember what I've said about when you're doing textured bases, you got to push this down into the cracks and crevices. Don't just let it sit on top, or your flock will just not get a great bond. You got to push that glue down in there. Now, because it absorbs somewhat, the moisture absorbs into the sawdust from this flock some, you're still going to get some, but it's not going to be, you know what I mean? And since this base has a lot of green, I pushed that down a little bit because I put so much flock on there. I want to make sure it sticks. All right, so there's the blue, bright blue neon demon. He's like a sick bat demon. Oh no, look at my face, I'm evil. And this was from the November DungeonSwag box. And if you guys really want this and you say something, we can put this box up for sale. But the problem is, if we have to put boxes up as a one-off, we can't offer them at the same price because we don't include any price for labor in our boxes. So when we have to do a special printing, we do charge for labor on that. So for us to keep the prices down, the monthly box is the cheapest way to do it because we're like I said, we're not charging for labor. One-off boxes, we kind of have to because somebody has to print these. Somebody has to get these out. But the monthly box is something we do because we love it. And the extra is more business related. So that's my blue demon. Thanks for watching. If you want to get this blue demon, say something and you can get it. If not, keep checking out the website because we have one-offs on there. And every month we have a monthly box we send out for a subscription fee. There's a discount code in my description, Biscuit. Use that and get 25% off. And we also have a free miniature on the website occasionally. I don't know if there's any up right now. We'll see you next time. I just painted this because I really wanted to, and it was going to be fun, and I think it turned out okay. And I like sharing it with you. Come to our Discord, and you can see some of the stuff other people are doing with these miniatures that aren't me, some of the better painters, and see what they're up to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, comment, and that stuff. All right, have a good evening.